If you're looking for the ultimate guitar technique exercise, you came to the right place. Today I'd like to show you the workout that finally made it possible for me to shred like that. I've been working on this exercise for around 6 months now and made quite a lot of progress with both hands, including 3 very important technique revelations that I want to share with you today. The 3 important technique takeaways from this video will hopefully save you a lot of practice time so that you get even faster results than me. So let's not waste any more time and start shredding right away. So after working on this exercise for a couple of weeks earlier this year, I made a video about it this summer. And here's where it gets really interesting. I also recorded a couple of very fast takes after today's morning practice routine. So this footage serves as a perfect technique comparison. You're here to see results, and the change is surprisingly big after just a couple of months of working on this exercise. Especially with the really fast take that I will show you later in this video. So to start, let's check out a full take of the workout performed at 120 beats per minute from earlier this year. In case you actually missed this very important video, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. That way you stay updated for more very helpful exercises like that one. So far so good. Now let's check out the 3 key factors why this exercise is so incredibly effective before we move to the progress. So first of all, this is a perfect hand synchronization exercise. Since you're using a different finger for every single picking stroke, you're playing 16th notes here, and all those down and up strokes need to be aligned with the correct finger. And you're also working with all of your fingers of your left hand for this exercise. The second reason is that you're playing on all 6 strings for this exercise, so you really have to work on your string transitioning skills. So moving from one string to the next one, which is pretty much the hardest aspect of playing fast and clean on the guitar. And the third factor, maybe you noticed this already, is that we're working with an odd note grouping right here. So you are playing 7 notes on each string before you move to the next one. That means that the down and upstroke pattern is constantly turning around between all the different strings. Now that we talked about these very important factors, let's keep moving and check out a comparison of the takes from earlier today to the ones from 4 months ago. We will start with 16th notes performed at 170 beats per minute. Stay tuned for the 200 BPM takes. This is where it gets really interesting. So first of all, I went with a much clearer, brighter and less muddy sound today so that you can hear the details and the picking strokes better. But before we talk about the very important technique changes with the picking motion, let's check out the left hand in detail in this comparison shot. So as you can see at this tempo, there's not an extremely big difference, but you can definitely spot the progress when you look at my pinky finger in the old video compared to the new video. As you can see, I have much more control of my finger right now, and it looks like all my fingers work independently, while in the old footage, it kind of looks like my pinky finger is really struggling with control, and it's also hitting the strings at a very flat angle, which is something we don't really want. So when I stop the video right here, you can clearly see the difference with all of my fingers. First of all, the pinky finger is bending away, as we discussed, and the other fingers aren't really that curled like in the new take. This seemingly small detail makes a huge difference with your guitar technique, especially if you're pushing for speed and a clean technique, because it's much easier to speed up controlled and small motion. It's really hard to get good results if your pinky finger is always bending away like that and you feel like you're fighting your fingers at higher tempos. And when your fingers hit the fretboard at a very flat angle, like that for example, you tend to block the string above the one that you're playing on, which really messes with your string transitions. Let's check out the picking technique now in another comparison video. So as you can see, the change right here is much bigger than with my left hand. It pretty much looks completely different. In the old take, you can see my fingers kind of forming a hole like that. And that never looked quite right to me when I was analyzing my recorded footage. And one of the other very important details is that I was using a fret wrap for the old take, for the old performance. So just a string dampener that you can attach to your guitar like that. So that's great for recording, of course, because you can't really hear that unwanted noise coming from the string transitions with a dampener like that. But I always felt like I had to work more on my left hand technique to get cleaner results. But what I didn't realize is that my right hand was causing all of these problems. So here's what happened with the older technique. I was essentially holding my pick like that, not really thinking about it that much. And that way my right hand fingers, my other fingers, were scraping against the strings. In fact, I have a bit of scar tissue right here. It kind of feels similar to my left hand fingers. So what happened with this kind of technique when I was holding the pick like that is that my other right hand fingers were scraping against the higher strings, and that caused a lot of unwanted noise, especially with fast playing. And I didn't really realize that, and that's the reason why I was always working with a string dampener. I always thought it's because of my left hand. So at one point I started to experiment with the way that I'm holding my pick, because it didn't kind of feel that natural and I didn't give it too much thought. I was just playing and practicing. So I changed it to this kind of grip. And once again, the change looks very minimal, but when you hold the pick like that, I think you will immediately realize that it feels much more natural. And one of the main benefits that I have from this kind of picking technique is that I can spread my other right hand fingers out just a little bit to avoid touching the other strings, and that massively cleaned up my picking technique and my picking motion in general. So that's precisely what you can see in this video. Let me freeze the frame real quick. On the right side with the old technique, you see this massive hole between my thumb and index finger, and you can also kind of see that my other fingers were scraping against the strings. And on the left side you can see this new grip. I'm also angling the pick, so the pick is not hitting the strings at a flat angle. So I'm not hitting the strings like that at a flat angle. I'm angling my pick so I get less resistance from the string. And it's also a big focus right now to only use a small portion of the pick for the picking. Back then I was using a pretty big area to pick, and that made it a bit difficult to transition between the strings without generating a lot of noise or without getting stuck. Alright, now let's take it to the extreme and check out a comparison of the 200 BPM takes. So this is the absolute biggest difference with both my left hand and my right hand technique so far. Let's check out some detail shots once again. So now you can see a much bigger difference with my left hand. You can see that I'm really losing control in the old video to the right. The pinky finger is even more extreme. It's kind of flopping around. And you can see that my wrist is also kind of moving back and forth. So there's a lot of tension with the motion. I'm not really in control anymore. I'm really pushing the tempo at 200 beats per minute. And I think you can see that I'm pretty much cramping up with my left hand. So in this shot, you can clearly see the difference with pretty much all of my fingers, especially with the pinky once again. Now it feels like I'm much more in control of every single finger. Doesn't really feel like working against my fingers anymore. And the economy of motion also greatly improved. Of course, it's still not perfect, especially at these fast tempos, but it's really fun for me to analyze that kind of progress. And I really look forward to doing that maybe in 6 months once again. So to summarize this, it felt really uncontrolled with my left hand and I couldn't really feel every single finger. I was pushing really hard and there was a lot of tension in my hand. I was kind of cramping up already at these tempos. Now let's see what the right hand was up to in the next detail shot. So once again, I think you can see everything we already discussed, but taking to the next level, really taking to the extreme at this tempo. The hole is here once again between my thumb and index finger because I was holding the pick like that and not like that. So that's a pretty big difference. And if you pay close attention to the motion of my old technique, you can see that it kind of changes over time for the different strings. I'm not sure if I was getting every single note in there. I was just going as fast as I could. And that's mainly because a pretty big area of the pick was sticking out and it made it pretty difficult to play fast and controlled. I think you can see a clear difference when you look at the new technique. My fingers, my right hand fingers are not scraping against the strings anymore. So once again, I'm playing without a fret wrap. In the old video, I needed a fret wrap to play at that tempo. And overall, the transitions between the strings look a bit better and I look much more relaxed compared to the old take. So working on this exercise in my practice routine over the last couple of months had a huge impact on my technique, both my right hand and my left hand technique, as you could see. If you also want to push your technique to the next level as fast as possible, both your alternate picking technique and also your left hand technique, I recommend heading over to patreon.com/BERNTH right now. Over there you can download the tabs and get the profiles for this exercise, and you can also download the very helpful video play alongs for this workout. Those are some really helpful practice videos that I record for pretty much every exercise that we discuss on the channel for my Patreon community. So with these videos you can work together with me in your next practice routine to make fast and efficient progress from now on. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. It's a lot of fun for me to analyze my own technique, my mistakes and my progress. In the end, remember to subscribe to stay updated, leave a like in case you enjoyed this video or a comment in case you have any more questions for me. I will hopefully see you again in the next video. All the best and have a lot of fun practicing until then.